Like and subscribe right now, or you're gonna have terrible luck for the next week. Whether you think zoos are necessary or not, it turns out animals don't exactly fancy the idea of staying in them for their entire lives. Let's just get right into it. 10 animals that escaped from the zoo. Number 10. Tiger, Nandankanan Zoological Park. Before the entry, the tiger had been wandering around the zoo for months before zoo officials decided to open the gates to let him in. Naturally, everyone at the zoo was concerned about the whole situation, so the male tiger was closely monitored with high-resolution cameras. But nothing alarming happened. The big cat was just looking for somewhere with his kind to hang out and probably get some free lunch while he's at it. For the following weeks, he seemed happy to eat, nap, and mate in the enclosure, seemingly having forgotten his wild habitat. But just as everyone was getting used to his presence, the tiger scaled the zoo's security wall and disappeared as suddenly as he had shown up. He was never seen again. Number 9. Bear, Berlin Zoo. In August 2004, Juan, a bear at the Berlin Zoo, decided it was time he left the enclosure. So he got onto a raft and somehow paddled across a moat, finally scaling a wall. Things got more interesting once Juan was on the playground. Seemingly thinking out his next escape plan, the bear grabbed a bicycle and appeared to be trying to figure out how to ride away. But at that moment, zookeepers had already taken notice of his activities. They swooped in immediately, cutting short his escape plan with a tranquilizer gun before taking him back in. Good thing he didn't try to go for the kids who were all over the playground during the escape. It appears all he wanted was to get away. The escape attempt was the second that year at the zoo. The first had been in June when a gorilla climbed over a fence. Number 8. Egyptian Cobra, Bronx Zoo. A venomous Egyptian cobra was reported missing, immediately sending a wave of panic across the city. That was expected. A search party had been sent out immediately as zoo officials tried to calm down the worried public. Speaking to the press, one of the officials speculated that the then juvenile snake could just be hiding somewhere in the zoo and therefore was no reason for freaking out. Luckily, the snake was finally captured just a few feet away from his enclosure without crossing paths with any New Yorker. That was after an agonizing 6 days of looking for the reptile. Number 7. Flamingo, Sedgwick County Zoo. Well, having wings might just actually be an advantage if you want to make a clean getaway from a lockup. At least that's what an African flamingo taught the world when she ran, or rather flew, for freedom from the Sedgwick County Zoo in Kansas in 2005. Nothing was heard of the fugitive bird for several years, with a search party that the zoo had organized, finally giving up after some time. Just like that, she was gone forever. Or maybe not. In 2013, 8 years after the successful escape, a birdwatcher spotted the flamingo in Texas, which is about 650 miles from Kansas. She was hanging out on the Gulf Coast's Lavaca Bay, still sporting her tag, which was pivotal in tracing her origin. Flamingo 492, as she had been tagged, was born in Tanzania, headed to South Africa before finally being brought into the United States to be locked up forever in 2003. Lucky for her, she grabbed the opportunity to be free as soon as it presented itself. Number 6. Wolf, Los Angeles Zoo. Virginia the wolf was a notorious zoo escapee and seemed to always find a way to get over to the other side of the fence. And the methods she used were quite surprising for a wolf. These included climbing trees, walking along branches, and going over fences. No matter how hard they tried, zookeepers couldn't figure out how to stop the dexterous wolf. At one time in 1979, she led the keepers on a 30-day chase through Griffith Park. Their efforts to tranquilize her hit a dead end, as she seemed to always be a step ahead. Allegedly, she might have disappeared in the wild after one of her successful escapes. Clearly, she was just too smart to spend her time behind a fence. Number 5. Ken Allen the orangutan, San Diego Zoo. His first escape was on June 13, 1985, in which he didn't do much or wander too far off. The primate just took a walk around the zoo, checking out the other animals. The second escape came on July 29th the same year. This time around, Ken took the opportunity to go check out another orangutan called Otis, whom he apparently despised. And while he did throw rocks at Otis, he didn't do much else by the time he was let back in. The third and last escape was again during the same year on August 13th, and as usual, Ken seemed to have no particular intention of running away or causing any havoc. Of course, by the last escape, the zoo was a bit concerned and was actively looking to keep the orangutan in his spot. They had to hire a team of experienced rock climbers to help in identifying and filling any potential holes. Number 4. Macaw, Vancouver Zoo. In 2009, Chuva the macaw proved that you can clip a bird's wing to prevent it from flying, but that won't stop it from escaping. According to his keepers at the zoo's parrot gardens, the bird suddenly disappeared, and knowing his wings were clipped, it didn't occur to them that he might have escaped. Maybe he was just laying low somewhere and would eventually turn up, or so they thought. When this didn't happen, the zoo put out an alert in the area asking for anyone with information on Chuva's whereabouts. They were in luck. After 3 days of searching, they got a call from a family who had found the macaw in the engine compartment of their RV. And the good thing was that he was fine, completely unscratched. He probably just wanted to explore the world a little. Number 3. Monkeys, Kyoto University. If you thought a 17-foot-tall electric fence was enough to keep animals confined, then you're welcome to listen to this quite ingenious way some monkeys use to overcome the obstacle. Experts at a primate research facility in Kyoto University had taken all the necessary steps to ensure the test subject monkeys stayed within the confines of the facility. On top of the electric fence, all the trees had been cut to just 6 feet, and they were planted as far away from the fence as possible. But the monkeys came up with a solution for this. They climbed the trees that were closest to the fence, bent back the branches, and used the resultant tension to catapult over the electric barrier. How crazy is that? Seems there are other equally smart beings apart from us. After such a surprising plan, though, the monkeys didn't have an additional one once they were over the fence. Some of them came back to the facility on their own, and the rest were lured using peanuts.
Now it's time for today's best pick.
Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it in a future video. Number 2. Lion, Karoo National Park. Locking up the king of the jungle is not such a good idea, at least hypothetically. I mean, he should be out there looking over his kingdom or something. Maybe that's what Sylvester the lion wanted when he sneaked out of the Karoo National Park in South Africa twice back in 2015. His electric enclosure didn't seem to be much of a bother to him for some reason. According to reports, he just crawled under the fence and went about his business like the king he was. In his first escape, he went on a rampage in which he killed 30 sheep over a distance of 180 miles. This lasted for close to 3 weeks, with the park rangers doing as much as they could to recapture the lion. Of course, they eventually did get him as he was catching a nap. But almost a year after this incident, the defiant lion managed to escape yet again, but he was captured sooner thanks to a satellite collar he had been fitted with. Initially, the park had planned to put him down, terming him a threat to people, but a Twitter campaign saw this idea abandoned, as it should have. He was instead relocated elsewhere away from older males at the Karoo National Park who might have been contributing to his escape drama.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it really works.
Number 1. Crocodiles, Rockwena Crocodile Farm. The croc is arguably one of the most powerful predators around, and that's why you'd be better off avoiding an encounter with one as much as possible. Now imagine the prospect of meeting thousands of these vicious carnivores. That was the exact situation in South Africa in 2013 during a heavy downpour. A record 15,000 crocodiles wandered from their home, the Rockwena Crocodile Farm in Limpopo Province. With the heavy rains, the farm workers had to open the floodgates to prevent the reptiles from being crushed by surging waters, and off they went into the nearby Limpopo River and bushes. Search parties had to sweep in immediately to try and salvage the dire situation, although it was obviously a tall order trying to catch that many animals. Promisingly, some 2,000 of the crocodiles had been captured after a few days, with appeals to the public for anyone with expertise to lend a helping hand. According to farm officials, the whole recapturing operation would have taken up to 2 months, but it's unclear if this was the case, as nothing has been said about the incident.